5 minutes later.
And here, with his bird's eye view and a brain to match, is Mr. Know-It-All.
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Monday, May 13th, 2024, as we all come together as a community to go ahead and talk about those things, well, you know, the government doesn't want us talking about. Yes, but you know what? We're going to come together as a community. We're going to have a great time. Happy Monday, everybody. You know, it just feels like it was Saturday, like yesterday. No, it was Sunday yesterday, Tom. But yeah, it's, well, welcome, everybody. Happy freaking Monday. Hopefully everyone got to go out and see all the Aurora Borealis. We did talk about it on Friday during the show. Told everybody you need to go outside and look. I went outside, saw some amazing pictures, got some great pictures and videos from Luke, and I saw some amazing things.
Thomas,
yeah?
you might want to switch your mic over.
Oh, you're on the wrong mic in the back. Thank you for telling me now. Is this better?
There you go.
There we go.
Sorry.
Don't worry about it. Oh, Timmy is here. Hey, Tim, how's it going? No, but I'm on camera, but people can't hear you. What's up, Tim? I'm not going to say anything about the witness or anything. I'm just going to show that last section of video, like the last second of the video we talked about before, and we'll save the rest of it for when your friend comes on Friday night. Oh, not going to mention anything like that. Just talking about some orbs chasing a plane. Oh, that sounds great, my friend. Thank you. Thanks, bye-bye. Oh, just got a clarification about some stuff we get to talk about. As I was just talking about the Aurora Borealis. Hopefully a bunch of you got to go out there and see it. If you didn't get to see it, I guess I can bring up the pictures now. If you want me to see the pictures again, I got my pictures, I got Luke's pictures. Happy to bring them up and show it on the air. But on that note, I want to go ahead and bring out some information. Well, I said... Well, in the title card, we're talking about orbs and planes and UFOs. We'll talk about orbs first. Well, we all know about the... oh, God, you know what? I have some business to do here that I haven't done yet. I am so sorry.
Hey, Rocky.
I know. Yeah, I could use some help right now. Let's go ahead and get this here really quick. I'm sorry, audience. I'm a bit tired today. If you can't tell. I don't know why. It's Monday. I shouldn't be so tired. Maybe because I washed a car yesterday, first time in like 4 years. Then I cut the grass today and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, it gets to you after a while. It sucks getting old. Trust me on that one. All right, before we get too far into the show, I am jumping ahead of things. I need to go ahead and do some business here, some dirty business. I need to go ahead and welcome in our great audience, my friends. Who do we have out there? Let's go ahead, take a look and see who's there. We have All Things Unexplained. You're new. Welcome, All Things Unexplained. April R. Coleman, Aubrey McLeod, Brian Morgan, Destiny Rocks, Eli McGinnis, Firefly, Frosterdamus, Jan is in the middle again. J-Cat's here along with Kathy and Kelly Bro with those piercing blue eyes. I'm watching you watch me watching you, Kelly. Great to have you here, my dear lady. Also, we have got Kathy King Bull, Mark Kyle, Mick Mix here along with Niles Guy, Pete Liebel, and reality check. If you have a glass, it's time to empty it. Reality checks here as well. Oh, one more time. Resonates here along with Roger, the Shelley Montgomery. Smiley Bat made it around along with that Patrick. Watching vids and Yell Tommy Tanker. also known as Andy. That's our audience. Remember, it's real easy to go ahead and join the chat, come out in the back and hang out with the funds. Just follow that link at the top of the broadcast. It'll be real easy for all of us to come in and hang out here today. Holy cow. On that note, before we get too far and get into the stories and everything, let's go ahead. Turn off the drums, and it's that time, friends. Nope, missed it again. Nope, not time for Mike. It's that time of the night, friends, to go ahead and welcome in our panel in the back. Let's go ahead and see what kind of unsuspecting guests we have in there right now. Let's go ahead and shut off that chat in the back that keeps on popping off. Sorry, Rachel, you're shut down right now. Let's see who we have back there. We've got Mr. Andrew Donnelly coming to us all the way from Ireland. How's it going, Andrew?
How you, my good friend? It's been a way.
It's been a while. It's been a way, too, as well. Thank you for coming back. Also in the back, we have Mr. Holiday Harold, also known as Reality Check. That's 4 more drinks, guys. Harold.
Yes, I'm here, sir. I'm ready for your big show tonight.
Great to have you here in all of your blurry glory. Also,
and our camera's messed up.
Blurry too. Also in the back, we've got our good friend Roger. I think he's German. How's it going, Roger?
Yeah, it's all right. I'm from Switzerland. Hi, Thomas.
Switzerland, close enough. Close enough, my friend.
I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Great. Hey, did you get to see the aurora last week?
Oh, no.
Oh, I am so sorry to hear that, my friend. Well, thank you very much for coming in here. Great to have you in the back today, and that wraps us back to Mr. Mike, Disclosure. Mike, what happened to Disclosure? It's dead again.
It's been dead in the water. This is just par for the course, Thomas. We've been dealing with this for a very, very long time right now, unfortunately. But hey, look, we have our Monday night show. We'll have fun for the audience, and it'll be interesting.
Some drinking games. Apparently, we didn't know that when people say reality, that means take a drink. So
something like that.
Yeah, there's a wild reality out there for us to come into a different reality and to know the reality of what's ahead.
The audience has their own games to keep themselves amused, which is cool.
There you go.
Okay, now you're just teasing me.
Why? Because I've said reality a whole bunch of times 10. Gotta have fun with it, my friends. Yeah, Mike, it's deader than a door now. Now, going back to the story that I was going to tell at the start of this before I said, oh, shit, I forgot about the audience, forget about the back, let's get to it. Yeah, so Friday night, unbelievable aurora borealis out there for us all, for everyone around the world for the most part to go and see. If you didn't see it, you're dead. Well, you probably were dead because majority of everyone out there went and saw this thing. Now, I went out because we were supposed to possibly, probably, not a chance in hell, opportunity to go ahead and see the aurora borealis again on Saturday night. So at 11:11 p.m., I know it's that time, 11:11, they say magical things happen. I go out in front of the house, go to the street light, take down the little door off, pop it off, disconnect the cables. Yes. Hello, Mill Creek Community Council. Yes, I actually did disconnect my street light, but it's reconnected, so you'll never know the difference. Anyway, I pulled it apart, and I went and I looked up, and I looked for the aurora borealis, and there was nothing there but an orb. I get at least 2 a year, and I don't go out that often. That probably means they're going up by here nightly or very frequently, because for as often as I see them without even trying to look up, yeah, it was just one of those orbs. It looks gold and orange to the eye, but yet when you zoom in on the camera, it's kind of white and green in color. Not quite sure what's going on, why my eyes are seeing it as orange, but when I zoom in, it's that green color again, looking like that kind of a donut shape, kind of a craft. Interesting to say the least. And here I am saying, son of a bitch, just another fucking orb. You know what I mean, Mike? I go out there to see the good stuff,
Oh.
and I should get excited for seeing another UFO, but it's just, you know what it shows? It shows that UFOs in the skies where we live are a lot more common than the aurora borealis. That's the truth of the matter.
It seems to be like it's a track over there by you.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Well, you could call it a track, or it's a thoroughfare, or it's a nature path, whatever it is. But if you go ahead and you take a look of where they're going in the sky over here by me and where they're going towards, take that long line and make it really long, and you look back to where that line is coming from. And it looks like it's coming right from the area of the Bangor Island Trident nuclear missile base, where there's like 1,100 to 1,200 nuclear missiles, each with 6 to 10 warheads each. It's a sizable. I think it's almost 50% of the American arsenal, about 30 miles from here. Why they continually fly along from that path, going out to the east? Are they going out to the west and then coming back and going back to some other place? I don't know. But it's a regular thing, and that's one of the things that we have to go ahead and do. When we're seeing these things, we have to understand, where could they be coming from? Where are they going to? What's the story behind them? We don't know what the story is. We do know where they're coming from. We don't know where they're going to, but it's an interesting thing to say the least. I've got a video out here, but again, it's just going to be another black, seeing stuff in the sky, a little dot going across, and then eventually you will hear me say just another fucking orb. Literally. Mike, you have your hand up, my friend.
No, I was switching the mute button on and off, and I accidentally hit the right hand. I took it right down.
Oh.
False alarm.
So you don't
Thank
have
you,
something
Tom.
to say.
No, man. Not at this time. I want to see the orb.
You want to see the orb? You want to see the fucking
Yes,
orb?
yes, yes, man.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Bring it out.
Uh-oh. Oh, Rick might be here tonight. He has computer problems. He's trying to fix it right now.
Oh, well, good luck with that.
Oh,
Hopefully he can join in.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. All right. Is this it? I think this is it. No, this can't be it. Ah, son of a bitch. I'm in the camera. I need to get back to photos. All right. Let's do this. I've got this here. I should be able to go ahead and click on Document iPhone. Of course, my iPhone is not going to show up. Let me get to this here really quick. Get to here. Go to Properties. Thomas's Black Magic. Thomas's iPhone. Ah, there we go. Okay. Here is my wonderful iPhone. Let's go ahead and take this picture here. And I'm going to go ahead and crank it up so you can kind of see what's going on here. This is me out in the cul-de-sac of by my house. And I'm looking to the east. And you can see, let me get in here really quick. Go to filters. Let's go to color correction. Let's crank it up. Okay. I just brought up. There we go. Bring up the gamma a little bit. You can see the pine trees there, right, Mike?
I see them loud and clear.
All right.
Very
so
nice.
Pine trees going up, 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 and there is a little dot. I know it's a little dot. When you see it with your eyes, this little dot is probably about 250, maybe, but at least it's at least twice the height of the trees. The trees here are about 125 to 150 foot tall. So this thing was probably anywhere from 250 to 400 feet up in the air. Relatively small, a small little guy here. Let me go ahead and, you see them enough. Let me go ahead to the start of this, and I'll just go ahead and play it. Eventually, you're going to hear me say, oh, just another fucking orb. Here we go. So I'm going to play this, and I'm just watching the orb going along. You see it enough times, you start realizing, if I zoom in on this thing, I'm not going to see a lot. There's a lot of compression and things going on. But one thing I've noticed is when I see these things with my naked eye, ooh, I said naked. Yes, with my naked eye, they look orange in color. Like orange in, well, I can't show it here right now, shit. Orange in color, literally. Here. Orange in color. But when you go ahead and take a look at it on the iPhone and you zoom in on it, it's actually kind of has a green tinge to it. And the thing is, when you got UFOs and you've got a cell phone camera, you're trying to zoom in on it, you're going to get a lot of distortion, just a lot of, oh shit. Things, oh, there we go. Zoom out a bit again. It's, uh-oh. Come on, continue to play here. All right, here we go. Again, just another orb flying. Oh, God damn it. I try to zoom out of it. Here we go. Let's just play that. And eventually I'm going to say just another fucking orb. There it is. Actually, I probably could transfer this. I haven't transferred it yet. You know, it's hard to see as I'm going and stepping along and seeing. You can kind of see the trees are coming up in the area, going along with it, and eventually it's just going to go behind the trees as I'm moving back and forth. It's moving back and forth because that's me just walking back and forth going through it. So it's one of those things that, yeah, we've got it going in, and eventually I'll say it's another fucking orb, but it's one of those things that, yeah, when you get out and you are outside, you have a camera, you can go ahead and record it, but that doesn't mean you're going to get something that's going to truly be spectacular, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean, right, Mike?
Oh, absolutely, Thomas. You would need specialized equipment outside to look for these things to take those photographs or video.
Exactly. Woo! Okay, fix my green screen there. There we go. Close enough. What is causing this problems? Oh, there we go. I've got Mocha and Moose playing in the distance. So, coming out of that one, talking in our first piece now, Mike, wasn't it looked like over the weekend we were seeing Lou Elizondo was hanging out in Washington, D.C. with James Fox and with Matt Laszlo from Ask a Poll.
Right.
And then it seemed like yesterday he was down in your neck of the woods hanging out with Dr. Keith Taylor, who's been on the show a number of times.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. He's been making a tour. Looks like a sightseeing tour. He's been talking to friends and going around. So almost like publicity.
Oh, talking with friends. Did you get a chance to meet up with him?
No, I unfortunately was dealing with Mother's Day, so I was unable to do so.
Yeah. Sad thing to say the least. Now, in addition to that, there was another tweet that I think you had said earlier today that Lou Elizondo had put out earlier today. Let's see if I can go ahead and find it here and look for Lou, which was a very telling tweet. Was there a picture there potentially?
Yes, there was a picture directly taken of the HarperCollins Publishing at 195 Broadway. He took a picture of the address.
Let me go ahead and bring that one up here. Here we go. You're talking about this one where it just says 195 Broadway.
Correct.
Doesn't say HarperCollins there, does it?
No, not on the street sign, but HarperCollins resides in that building.
Interesting. And what did Lou say about this picture? Nothing. Just a picture. There he is hanging out with Dr. Keith Taylor, but who's gone and locked his account on Twitter. Let's go ahead and take a look and see. Yeah, 195 Broadway. No words, no nothing. But didn't Lou have his publisher? Wasn't he over in the United Kingdom?
Yes.
That's where everybody went and signed up for, the Lou Elizondo mailing list and stuff. It's all coming from the UK.
Correct.
It makes you wonder if he has a multi-regional publishing deal going on with HarperCollins and the other company, or perhaps this other organization is just handling PR for Lou.
That's a distinct possibility. But we haven't heard Lou publicly make an announcement about that.
No,
nothing.
Unfortunately. But at least there are some clues as to what Lou Elizondo was up to in his jet set weekend, going to D.C. and then New York and getting what was the term again? Getting in there and out of there. What was it again? I'm sorry.
Turn and burn.
Turn and burn. Their
Yes,
turn
sir.
and burn trip to New York.
Correct. We have hands up, Hollywood and Andrew.
All right, Harold, go. Andy? Okay, Andrew Donnelly. Harold, go ahead, my friend.
I was just going to mention in passing that we lost Bruce McAfee today, I guess, or something like that, right?
That was the other day, Harold, but yeah.
Yeah.
From I thought he was dead already.
There's that dang effect again, man.
The Mandela effect, Harold.
Yep, the Mandela effect.
Okay, we're talking about the Mandela effect. I'll be the first person to get on a soapbox. I have one here I could pull up. What the hell, I'll do it anyway. I'll be the first person to get on a frickin' soapbox.
Oh my God.
And
He's
say,
actually got one.
Well, this is more of a wine box, but that's okay. It's a soapbox, and I can bring it out. Babaloo. All right, so if there was the Mandela effect, right, Harold? Which you've heard about before in the past. The Mandela effect is supposedly things that have gone on since our childhood that we remember one way, right? And it's actually another way, like the Bernstein Bears versus the Bernstein Bears to a degree, or
and the Monopoly Man's monocle. Yeah. Monopoly Man's monocle.
All that.
I always thought he had a monocle, but apparently he doesn't.
Yeah.
And Britney Spears, I always remember her video. She had on like a plaid skirt, like a Catholic girl skirt, but I guess it was.
And I thought it was
black.
"Hit Me, Baby, One More Time," but it's "Slap Me, Baby, One More Time," right? No.
I would hope so, yeah. And then the thing with the headphones, where one video she had on a headphone set with the boom mic, and another one she didn't. So,
yeah.
Lots of
there was another one with Darth Vader.
It.
There's a bunch of different ones where people are remembering it differently from what it was. And here's the thing. If there's anybody who's potentially screwing with a timeline, it's not stupid humans. It's the non-human intelligence. You know what I mean, Harold?
Oh, yeah. Yep,
they have craft that defy time, space, and space-time, which means they're warping around in time around us. And if anybody had the opportunity to screw with the past to give them a different future that they like better, it's not going to be us. It's going to be them.
Right. I agree. 100%.
Yeah.
And the thing that convinced me of it was the guy with it was like one of the first cell phones with a camera in it. And every time you point that camera at something, man, the screen would show one thing, but in actuality, if you look at it with your eyes, it would show another thing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of weird.
I got you. Well, I've got some other weird stuff that I'm going to be showing some people in a second. But before we get to that, let's get to Mr. Andrew Donnelly. Andrew, how the hell are you? What say you?
Hello, Thomas. How are you? It's
sober.
Good to hear from you.
And yourself?
It's good. I am sober. I am sober. But listen. When the show's on, it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning in Belfast, Ireland. So I usually listen to the show when I go to work.
Yeah.
In the morning, I listen to the show religiously every day. But I want to take it away from what is not going on in Disclosure now and talk about something that happened with me about 3 weeks ago. I like is all just to think about it.
Sure. Why
I
not?
haven't had many anomalous encounters. A few things that you might throw off and you go, it's a satellite, it's this or that. I've seen satellites go the other way, but it's a satellite, it's just a wee dot in the light. It's a wee dot in the sky. But about 3 weeks ago, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night. And I woke up about 3 o'clock in the morning and I went out to the back for a smoke and it was a clear sky. And I watched and seen 2 satellites go by, and that was all good. And just about as I was about to go back in and put my head back down, the next minute I seen a triangle.
Oh, wow.
Now, right, okay. So
But you have your phone with you so you could capture it.
no, the phone was inside. The phone was inside.
That's the problem. That's why I've learned. Anytime I
that's
go out front,
exactly what I was going to say. The only reason I brought this up because you showed that picture of the orb because you had the phone there, you had the camera there, and you were able to capture it. And I was envious of it. I was envious of the fact that you were able to do that. But on this occasion, the phone was inside. So what do you do?
I know, but Andrew, really
You run
quick,
back-
I've seen these
Yeah.
orbs so many times. For me, it's not like
Yeah.
I'm running back inside saying, hey, Luke, come on, there's an orb out front. It's like, oh, God, there we go again. Let's go ahead. And it's not like I'm even talking through it anymore because I'm so used to seeing them, except it gets down to the end, we're saying, oh, God, another fucking orb.
Absolutely, Thomas. So what do you do? What do you do at that point? Do you run back into the house to go and get the phone? Or do you continue to watch the anomalous thing that you're watching? So let me describe the anomalous thing. Because as you probably know, Thomas, I'm well schooled on ufology and everything that's happening. I've been studying for over 20 years. But out of everything I've ever read, seen, or heard from anybody, what I seen that night, I can't describe because it's either a black triangle or it's a black triangle with 3 lights on either side and a red light in the middle, which we'll put down to a TRVB.
Yeah.
No, this thing wasn't actually a full triangle. It was like pointed at each edge. And it was
Interesting.
grey.
Yeah.
It was no, Thomas. It was grey. It had a grey color in the sky, but out to the edges, was fuzzy.
How far away
But
do you
it's
think
the
this
way
thing
it
was?
moved. But it's the way it moved. It moved very, very, very rapidly, and like an 8-track. You know, like a racetrack. Does that make sense? Like a racetrack.
Yeah.
But as it was doing it, and Patrick, I can see you're listening to me, Patrick. As it was doing it, it was actually phasing in and out. It was phasing in. It was phasing the black against the black sky, and I could see all the stars. I mean, I could see what we call the Big Dipper or Ursa Major. I could see all the stars, and it was phasing out. And do you know what I done the next morning when I got up? I googled, do seagulls go out at 4 o'clock in the morning and fly? But this couldn't have been a seagull. It couldn't have been a seagull because it moved too quick. Thomas, it just moved too quick for a seagull. Plus, it was 4 o'clock in the morning. What do you think, Thomas?
Anomalous. Probably
Have
not
you
a
ever heard
seagull.
anything like
You're
that?
seeing something that looks triangular. You know, all I can say is go out more often, bring your phone with you, and if you see something, frickin' grab it with a video. Because the thing is, you're going out every once in a great while and you're seeing something. The more often you're going to go out, the more often you're going to see something. Now, the thing that I've learned from Steve Brown, who's Anomalous Vegas, or used to be UFOs over Vegas a while ago, he lives in a corridor where if you're going to see something, you'll see it again, and you'll see it again and again. So just have to keep on going out on a regular basis.
No, the question I'm asking you, Thomas, the question I'm asking you, because you're well schooled you're well schooled on all the history. Have you ever heard of anybody speak of something that looks like that? Because I haven't, and I'm
Yes,
well
triangle.
schooled.
Yes, absolutely. I've heard Andy
No.
Andy Watts
A great
from
triangle in the sky.
near Bristol, United Kingdom, talk about seeing a triangular shaped craft. And I've
They're all
also,
slow
let me
moving.
finish. I've also
They're all-
heard there's a guy who's the founder of UFO Believers over on Reddit, who also has videoed a triangular shaped craft over the area of the Netherlands. So, yes, in that part of the world, it seems that triangular craft are more prevalent than what we're getting over the United States.
This is a grey, fuzzy triangle that is moving at a rapid speed within racetrack stage.
Racetrack would
go-
mean it's going in a repeating pattern.
In hoops, it's run hoops. Exactly the way your finger's going. That's exactly how it's moving. Any description of a triangle never describe that.
Yeah.
They're always slow moving. They're always
Yeah.
slow moving.
Oh, I got you. I got you.
Anyway,
But the ones I
okay.
see here, again, was it completely silent?
Completely silent.
Yep, just like the orbs I see here time and time again. And trust me, I have local airports. I have several local airports. I have one where 737, 747s, etc., 787s come in from Boeing in Everett. It's called Payne Field. It's not that far away. I have the Snohomish Airfield, where there's a lot of smaller planes and helicopters and Cessnas come into. I also have Seattle SeaTac Airport that's a lot farther away. But I get a lot of air traffic around here, and trust me, I hear all of them. But when these orbs come across, it's silent, dead silent.
Exactly.
There's nothing else in the air. Kind of like what you're talking about there, Andrew, across in Ireland.
And actually, see, at the last point that I seen it, it phased out. It completely disappeared.
Yeah. Well, do yourself a favor. Go out more often. Look up, and when you go outside, start remembering to bring with your iPhone or your Android device, just so you can go ahead and make sure if it happens and you can see it, you can go ahead and capture it as well. Just comes down to practice and
It's good
muscle
advice,
memory.
but it's good advice, Thomas, but sometimes it's easier said than done.
I know, but just in the future, you just got to get in the habit. Take that phone with you wherever you
Thank
go.
very much, Thomas. Thank
Whether
you
you're
very
going to
much.
go take a crap or you're going to get a drink or you're going to go outside for a stretch, bring with that phone no matter where you go. But just do yourself a favor. Don't keep the phone in your front pocket or your back pocket, because the amount of radiation that comes off these things apparently can cause sterilization issues with your packages down there between your legs. More importantly, they're seeing that there is like a 400 or 500% increase in colon cancer. And the only thing that's changed potentially could be keeping one of these in your pocket. So don't keep your phone in your front pocket or in your back pocket. Otherwise, down the road, you may pay the price. Makes sense, Andrew?
100%, Thomas.
Yeah, absolutely. But thank you for going ahead. I really appreciate you sharing that story and what you did. And hopefully in the future, you'll go ahead and see another one, because if you've seen one, that means you're set up to see many. That means you live in an area where they go through on a regular basis. Just like we have migrating birds, we have crows here in the Pacific Northwest who go to, they go out in the suburbs during the day. They all come back to a central point at night. It's the same way with the non-human intelligence. They have paths that they follow on a regular basis. And if you live near one of them, and it sounds like you do, Andrew, it's not going to be a one-time affair. It's going to be something where you have the opportunity to get out there and see it more than anybody else of our viewers. So if you get a chance, just go outside and look up. Most of the time, you're not going to see anything, but once in a while, it may be something that raises your attention. You know what I mean, my friend?
Well, Thomas, what I seen about 3 weeks ago was I go out all the time and look up.
Yeah.
What I seen was probably once in a lifetime.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I'd say what's once in a year for you, maybe once in 6 months. Keep on going. Don't set up and say, I'm not going to see it again. Keep a positive attitude. And if you get a feeling, you get an inclination, should I go outside and look up? Yes, go outside and look up. Grab your drink, grab your phone, go out there and look. You never know what you're going to see. Now,
100%.
coming into from a different aspect. I know I'd said planes and UFOs. Well, coming into us, there's a one of the people who used to be a part of Disclosure Tonight here on a regular basis was Mr. Tim Seener, who went on to Spaced Out Radio, has been hanging out, being all nice and relaxed lately. But Tim actually shared a whole package of a whole bunch of videos. We can't share all the details, but I can tell you this, the person who shot this video will be on Disclosure Tonight coming, as far as I understand, this Friday night. Don't let us down, Tim, because this one is nothing less than amazing. What am I talking about? I need to get this so I can see it larger. I need to go larger. All right. I'll make myself small. So what you have here is Vegas. And this is an area near Las Vegas, near McCarran Airport. And we've got like a 737 coming in for a landing. However, let me turn off the chat for this one because I think the audience is going to appreciate this one. This one is cool. All right, let's go ahead through this video. Okay, so what's different? You've all heard about the stuff about other UFOs that were chasing after planes and circling them and making them go plop. And that was a recording of a recording of a recording that was shown on a screen. This isn't actually a recording that's coming from an iPhone. And the guy who caught it saw something. And he stopped his car, he pulled over, and he recorded it. And let me get into this here. Oh, would you look at that? That is a 737, and what is that? Right by the 737. But more importantly, not only do we have this here, if you can see it, you've got this little dot here, and there is another dot over here. What could those little dots be? Let's zoom in. And what's going to be interesting is as the camera goes ahead and zooms in, and he's moving it across, tracking it across the sky a little bit, is that the actual objects, this one here, and this one here,
Keeping their distance,
are moving along. Let me zoom out a little bit more. They are moving lockstep. Here he goes. He zooms in. Now, this is the money shot. This is the money shot right here. We've got a 737 here, right? We got this other, we have was one little dot here that's an orb, and we have another object here that's another orb. As we get into the last segment, last second of the video, where everything is zoomed in and they're not moving it, these orbs that are here, this orb here and this orb to the right side of the screen here, is moving in, tied in specifically with the 737. So, get back to this now. The cool thing that's about this, orb here, 737 here, them moving along specifically right along with it. They are trailing a 737. Now, the interesting thing about it is, why would we have two orbs, right, that are trailing a 737? Well, one of the things we've heard in the past, coming from Mr. Dave Mason, who was the imaging expert behind the Terror in the Sky, UAPX initiative that happened a while ago where they saw this tear in the sky and all these things going behind it, right? Dave Mason had said in the past, these things are moving along with the craft. And there are many more cases of these things moving along with the craft. And as far as he understood, for that matter, no, these aren't sundogs, Firefly. These are actually little orbs that are in the air trailing the 737. Now, these particular objects that are trailing the 737, why are they trailing the 737? Well, supposedly, when you fly close to these objects, these little buggers, this one here, will fly behind a 737 because they're following along in the wake of the object, and as they're doing so, it shields them from being picked up by other radar and surveillance systems. So coming out of that, when you've got these kind of things going on along with the craft, and one thing we haven't heard from Tim on this yet that we're going to look into is we have Nellis Air Force Base not too far from here. Where are these craft coming from? And where are these craft going to? Meaning, are these craft, this plane, as it's moving along, and I'll give it to you 1 second, Patrick, and as these objects are trailing behind it, are they getting away from a place where they could be tracked? Meaning there's a plane going by, they jump along with the plane, they move along with the plane, and the radar systems that are there to track the plane can't pick them up. Or are they going along, trailing along with the plane to a place where they can drop out and they're not going to be observed by high-end radar? So it all comes down to the concept of these craft are doing this maneuver in a method so they don't care about whether or not they're picked up by stupid humans. In our visual aspect, they're worried about getting picked up from the military. So they're either getting out of somewhere, going across, or they're coming along, going across, knowing they're going to drop out. Patrick, you have your hand up.
Hey, Thomas. Yeah, no, I wasn't waving you on. I was trying to clear stuff off my phone. So today, Cosmic Roads covered one story. I wasn't sure if you saw it, about an air show in Ukraine. It was from, I want to say, the early 90s, but someone had re-examined the video, and similarly such as we had seen in the one in Malta, and in this, there was interference from an unknown
one thing
object.
I have to say, Patrick, about this, compared to the stuff in Malta, granted that the objects we're seeing are white, when you zoom in on the objects and you look at them, they're not consistent, but they have that same tumbling effect that mimics exactly what we saw in Malta.
Well, and that was the issue in Ukraine. It was a different, it looked completely different. It almost looked like a cigar or
yeah, I saw that one.
The side of a disc. But it had actually taken the aircraft out. And that would be...
Yeah.
That's a need for concern. They said it looked like, they go, oh, it could have been an accident. Well, these things are light years ahead of us, as we can see. Yeah. So, but it's always air shows or places where they want to flex. They want to show strength.
And I believe Rick, who actually just jumped on the show, was actually on the call with people saying that, yes, Rick, if you're there, this was actually observed by an American Airlines flight, seeing the actual things by the other plane. Was that correct, Rick?
Yes. My friend works at the air traffic control. He's an air traffic controller at the airport, Harry Reid Airport, International Airport, and he was working that morning. And the American Airlines flight, and I got it here someplace. They're the ones that saw it first and reported it, and then the Delta Airlines the one pilot, the American Airlines pilot, told the Delta Airlines pilot, "You got something on your tail. You got two objects on your tail." And ironically, it wasn't showing up on radar initially, but it was I came up as ground scatter or something. But then a Air Force pilot, I guess we talk about it now, right?
Yeah, of course.
The
Yeah.
U.S. Air Force C-130 pilot also saw it. So there was 3 different planes that saw this, and then they switched it over to. He says, then in a case like this, we switched it over to another section of the radar approach control, RAPCON they call it, and then he was out of it. He didn't have any more to do with it. So that's what he told us.
Interesting. You don't see this a lot that often. Do you think this is something we're going to start to see more often, Rick? Because this is just, this is the first time we've actually seen something of some orbs that are trailing a plane that doesn't look manufactured from assets, because the stuff we saw before, I hate to say it, MH370, that was something that was a recording of a recording of a recording, and here we've got the actual live recordings. And you've actually gone and yourself looked at these videos, and you've looked at the photos, and most importantly, you saw the same thing I did, which was the time and date these were shot at. More importantly, the GPS locations that were out there.
Right, exactly. We actually pinpointed it Saturday right on the. I use Google Pro, so we know exactly where it was, and the guy that took the pictures, the video, he was exactly where he claimed to be. It was the original video that we got, or Thomas got and shared with me. I've shared it with a number of people since. They all think it's extremely incredible. They can't call it 100%, but they call it 99% credible. One particular person did an analysis. He works for Sandia National Laboratories. He didn't use their equipment, he used his own, but he said these things were not, number one, they were not birds. They were metal.
No seagulls here over Vegas.
No seagulls, and they weren't, and they didn't, they were flying, moving, but they didn't generate any heat. So that's amazing. He thinks it's flying by some sort of propulsion system.
Yeah.
So that's incredible.
Yeah. No, we do plan, if you want to come back for our Friday night show, Rick, we do have the person who recorded these, who recorded everything, will be coming on Friday night show.
Sure. Yeah, I should be able to.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing. We don't see a lot of good sightings out there, but I have to say this one is pretty freaking compelling out of everything that I've seen, because we've got like 4 different videos that we've seen that you and I have seen so far out of this. I'm just showing the last second of the video just so people can see that you've got the objects that are moving lockstep with that particular plane, and that's not something that you see ever. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this to date. Have you?
No, I certainly haven't. I've seen things close to that, but one of my, I talked to the air traffic controller this morning. He's off Monday and Tuesdays, and he said that I asked him the question, what if this was a military, some sort of military craft or some secret craft, and he said if the Air Force was flying something in the area of the airport, they would let us know. They might just say, hey, listen, disregard certain radar contacts at such and such, but they didn't, and he doubts that it was anything to do with the Air Force or the military.
Yeah, and this is one of those things we have to take a look at. This isn't like a blue on blue, as they call it, event happening. People have said that, oh my God, the Tic Tac stuff, that was Lockheed Skunk Works going and doing a blue on blue event. We've seen a lot of UFO sightings have gone on. People saying, "Oh my God, it's just the U.S. government going and putting assets over a populated area." And if you ask me, Rick, that doesn't seem like this would be anything from the government or anything, because the last thing, if you have a ultra top secret program going on, why would you want to take it and put it over a populated area where other people can potentially see it? It doesn't make sense, does it?
No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. I don't think it's the military, and he doesn't. And I made a couple other phone calls, but I haven't been able to contact the people at some other contacts out there yet, and I'm sure they'll get back to me eventually. But no, I wouldn't be the military. They wouldn't want the publicity this will generate, and they wouldn't be flying around an airport. They'd be flying in remote areas of.
They wouldn't be flying along an airport. They wouldn't be trailing a commercial jetliner. Anything that could possibly cause risk of the visual observation of this craft, or a potential risk to the people who are part of this aircraft. There's no reason any of this stuff would be put forward to go ahead and actually take U.S. military technology and put it out for everybody to go ahead and see. Especially, it's not just the people of the United States. We're talking China, we're talking Russia, we're talking Iran, all of our foreign adversaries that are out there, that if they can see our stuff, why would we want to do that? I don't see a reason why they would.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. And another thing he said, my ATC friend said, was that the radar signature on these particular, he said there were 3 up there. We only see 2 here, but he said there were 3. I don't know where the other one would be. Maybe he just didn't see the other one. But I think we checked it Saturday very carefully, and I only saw 2. I think you saw 2 also, Tom. Yeah. But anyways, he said that when these particular objects, when there is a object spotted, they give it a radar signature designation.
Right.
Patrick, you might know about this. And these the signature, the classification or designation they give can only be interpreted by the separate ATC people in what they call RAPCON, radar approach control. So that must mean something. He didn't go into any details with me.
Right.
He probably knows, but he can't talk about it.
Right. So this is the first time anywhere this information's coming out here in Disclosure tonight. I want to thank Tim Senor and his friend for bringing this kind of stuff out. We're not going to get any of the details about the observer, what his qualifications are, the kind of stuff he's been involved in, because he's been involved in a bunch of different areas. But we're going to leave that for him to bring out when we look at. We've got like 4 or 5 videos. We've got a bunch of still images to go ahead and look at, and this is just something that we're giving a preview of what we're going to cover later on in the week. Now, if we can jump on to the next story for tonight, we actually have, if you remember last week, we had heard that David Grush was going to be appearing at the SALT conference, which is a big venture capitalist and investment forum that happens in New York. I believe it happens once every single year. Last year, Gary Nolan almost had an hour on stage to go ahead and talk about the whole extraterrestrial phenomenon that's going on and what's happening along with it. And we heard last week that first we had heard that David Grush was going to be appearing at the SALT conference, but then by the end of the week, he had pulled out. No answer why, but I think, Rick, you answered that question, was that David actually got a job somewhere within the government again.
Right. Yeah, that's what I heard. That's the chatter, so to speak.
Right.
Is that he got hired within, I'm not sure if it's a congressional staff, the intelligence office within the senator, or what. But yeah, he got a job within the government.
Yeah. Interesting, more than interesting enough. Now coming out of it, we have KARL NELL, who's a modernization advisor to Vice Chief of Staff of the Army, who I believe you had said before, KARL NELL was in charge of AFCROM Command, the Africa Command, and as part of his duties, he actually dealt with the recovery of a large UAP out of Sudan, right?
Yeah, that was several years ago. He was on a special operations mission, his team, and they found it, but they didn't do anything, and they had to go do their special operations in Sudan. But then they reported it, and they brought in a team to recover that item, that craft there in the Sudan. But he was there. He saw, his team saw it, and
of which there were 4 or 5 bodies of deceased non-human intelligence on the craft.
Right, four, I believe, and
yeah.
He's talked about it within the private circles, so to speak.
So we've got someone who is well seasoned in the area of non-human intelligence, crash recoveries, and everybody. So granted, David Grush was going to be there. He pulled out without warning, but we now have KARL NELL coming back with his pedigree of what he's done in the past with the exact same topic of Earth and non-human intelligence. Do you call that a coincidence? You know, but I guess it comes down to, Rick, we're looking at this situation where we've got KARL coming in talking about the same things that Grush was going to talk about. Are these topics they're talking about that doesn't require the high level of someone, or the whistleblower status of someone like David Grush to bring across the same information? Because remember, KARL NELL was actually pegged as the person to take the helm of ARO, although we never did.
You're right. I think somebody like the Colonel, he could skirt the issue, so to speak around it, because he obviously has a clearance for it, and has the knowledge behind what he would say. So yeah, I think that he would be a person that could speak with authority.
Yeah. Really quick, talking about speaking with authority, we got a super chat that just came in from Faze Will saying, like, share, and subscribe, please. Remember, if you enjoy this broadcast, do us a favor, hit the like button. If you like it, go ahead and share with your friends on social media. But more importantly, if you haven't subscribed yet, you haven't hit that magic button, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Make us a regular destination for everything Disclosure on YouTube. Andrew, you have your hand up, my friend.
Yes, Rick. Just something I'm very, very curious about. We have the likes of KARL NELL, okay? And he is not described as a whistleblower, unlike David Grush. And before David Grush came out in the debrief last year, and before he had the interview with Ross Coulthard, he was kind of forced to come out because his name had been leaked by no other than Danny Sheehan. But we all know the name KARL NELL. We all know he worked for AFCOM. The story is out that he might have been part of a crash retrieval in the Sudan. I'm struggling to see the difference between KARL NELL and David Grush, and whistleblower and not a whistleblower. Could you shed a wee bit of light on that, Rick?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, there's a fine line between somebody that wants to be designated as a whistleblower under the Whistleblower Act. There's certain criteria they have to follow. and it has to be approved by their command or their agency or their military branch first. KARL is retired now from the United States Army after, I think, 30 some years. And so I don't know why, personally, I don't know why he wasn't designated as a whistleblower, but he certainly could have been. But I think in the position that he's in, he doesn't want to be he doesn't want to be a designated whistleblower. And there's advantages to that. He doesn't have to get information. He doesn't have to get approval from his former boss or his commander or agency head or director of operations to talk. He can go out and talk on his own. And, he knows enough that he can't disclose national security. He understands the SAP program and the SCI program. And so he knows enough what he can say and what he can't say. So I think that's why, that's the differences between KARL, NELL, and Grush or the other whistleblowers.
So, okay. Just based on that analysis, would KARL, NELL have been able to say what he said, or people say things about him? For example, Ofcom, the incident in Sudan, if David Grush hadn't come out before he did?
Well, actually, the incident in the Sudan, that was reported by somebody entirely different. And the Senate had a whole skiff, and I don't know, I wasn't there, obviously, but there are people within the Senate Intelligence Committee that briefly talked about a briefing they had gotten about something that happened in the Sudan, and then other people that are up in the Washington area, they connected the dots and put KARL, NELL's team there. And when he was confronted by it, he said he admits being on the special operations team, and he also admits they found something there that had some bodies, but he couldn't go into any greater details than that. So, go figure.
So kind of what you're saying there really quick is KARL, NELL has a lot of things that have happened in his past, but due to his clearance and other things that have gone on in his life and his obligations to the federal government, that he hasn't been able to go ahead and bring that information together forward, correct?
Right. Exactly. You got it.
Again, that's also interesting. That's also interesting because if that incident in Sudan was brought up in a Senate hearing, then how come? Is there any information that you might know of as to where that craft would have went to, where it would have went?
No, I wish I did know. I think there are people within my group that might know, but they're not talking. It's probably, at a classification level that they don't want it leaked out. But I personally, and this is my own personal feeling, not anything classified, that I think it was picked up by, it was transported to a dirt strip, picked up by a U.S. Air Force aircraft, transported to a base at the Ivory Coast, a base that the United States Air Force uses, and then a C-17 craft, a big Air Force cargo plane came and picked it up and flew it back to the States, and probably to
I know, it was gorgeous.
Area
I saw
51.
the same kind of stuff. I couldn't see with my eye. I could see. Anyway, I've got. Need to get back to the show. Okay, bye. Sorry, that was my brother calling me and talking about this stuff he had seen up in Wisconsin for the Aurora Borealis, talking about the stuff he had seen at 11:30, 12:30, 2:30 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning. He was up there turkey hunting. Sorry about the conversation. Yeah. Great things all the way around. Yeah. I can't wait to see where KARL NELL potentially will go in the future. Now, we had heard Rick, believe it or not, through a little bird who whispered something to our ear. Mike, you were part of this conversation at the time. We were both told that KARL NELL was supposed to be the next head of ARO, but it never happened. Supposedly, this decision was made like probably like June or July, was it, Mike, of last year? Maybe, I think it was
Yes.
yeah. And at that time, KARL was supposed to be the person coming in and taking over ARO, but it didn't happen. Then we had KARL NELL show up at the Seoul conference, and now KARL's coming back again now. Do you think this conversation, Rick, at SALT could help set him up a little bit further for his post in or taking over ARO? Or do you think because he's talking about Earth and the non-human intelligence, or humanity and non-human intelligence, do you think this is something they could pull him away from that post?
You know, I wish I knew him. There was some people in our group that actually know of the colonel, and could vouch for him and say other things about him that I can't. But I think he's probably read Sean's report and knows that that's not true, and he might not want to be associated with a group like ARO. And
Yeah.
I think.
But a year ago, almost a year
Yeah.
ago, probably yes, it would make sense. But unless he's coming in as a mover and a shaker to grab an organization that has potential to try and get him in the area. But I mean, ARO is just turning out to be like the Stooges' stooge of government cover-up and just bullshittery to go ahead and basically take that message of the deep state and say, there's nothing here. What are you talking about? You know, it's that same bullshit that we've been getting forever that Sean Kirkpatrick just turned out to be the pinnacle of. Do you think we'll get beyond? Do you think Sean Kirkpatrick is going to be the pinnacle of the lies, or do you think that the DoD is going to continue to escalate?
Well, as I've said for the last 6 or 8 months, ARO is a counterintelligence entity within the government that's feeding deception or disinformation, as the public would call it, to the public. Either they're the dumbest agency we've ever had in the government, or they just have never been briefed on it. And I don't think that's the case. I think it's a deception operation. And I'm not just saying that there's many people out there that are saying the exact same thing, that ARO is just a cover for a deception operation to deceive the public, trying to sway the public's belief that there isn't anything.
But Mike Morris, you're going to hate me for this one. The question is, is the government playing two sides of the coin at the same time? Meaning you have someone like Elizondo who comes forward, goes to TTSA, comes out in the public, goes on this big, huge PR campaign, gets snuggled up really close to all the different people in Disclosure to understand specifically what the people believe, what they don't believe, and be able to guide them along that, right? From the one side of the fence, playing against the military-industrial complex, but then you've got the other side, which is the Sean Kirkpatricks and the other, who are completely going up against it and pushing back and saying, no, this stuff doesn't exist. Are we dealing with the government psyop where they're playing it from both sides of the coin? Because first you had Lou Elizondo, who was going off and doing his stuff in the government. He left the government, but he's still with the government. But then you've got David Grush, who used to be from the government, came out and say all these different things, but what position is he going to take now? And where does that go? Is it following the similar path of where Lou is? Meaning that do we have this anti-government that's kind of there trying to help us in this guided disclosure, and the other part saying, no, this doesn't exist and everything, basically giving you that not catastrophic disclosure, but that disclosure that's guided and it's slow. It's like a marathon, which Lou has used many times, to get us from point A all the way to the point where they want us to be, where we need to be in the time that we're going to get there, because I have a feeling they're running out of time. Your thoughts, Rick? I know this is a deep question, but you know where I'm coming from.
You sound, you actually almost sound like an intelligence officer explaining what we refer to as a C3 operation, or in kidding terms, we used to call it patty cakes. Patty cakes, bakers.
Man. Eat a cake as fast as you can.
Right, and that cake can have a lot of things in it. And a C3 operation is exactly what you explained, a different level operation of deception, whereby you feed a little bit of good stuff and then you feed a little bit deception. And what that does is it totally confuses everyone, and it confuses the public if they're generating, and it also confuses some internal divisions within the government. But you explained it perfectly.
I just want to say this really quick. Someone in the audience, Lorento Glenalco, says that Grush is a puppet. No. Grush is really fucking smart. He is probably, if you take everybody in the audience and say, who is the smartest person you ever knew? And if you knew David Grush, everybody in the audience, every single person would say that's it, because of his brain and how it works and how detail oriented he is. I've had guys like David work for me in the past, and they're freaking geniuses. They can see connections and everything else. He got there, he got to the point, and he just started connecting all the different dots and getting it there and assembled the big picture of what it was before they figured out that he was assembling the picture of what was going on.
Thomas, but what you said is very, very, very interesting about playing both sides of the coin.
Yeah, that's what's going on.
Look at Stephen Greenstreet. I mean, that interview with Kirkpatrick, when everybody thought that he was going to be just a patsy, just going to play up, tell him he's just going to, and he actually tore him apart.
But Greenstreet is still taking the opportunity where he tore it apart, and there are people who are bringing in Lou. He still is taking that opportunity to go ahead and attack Lou. So you just have to understand where is the end game of where he's going towards. That's where it's at. You know what I mean, Rick? You saw that stuff on Twitter.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thomas. Yeah, you're sure you weren't intelligence before?
No, I'm just ADD, ADHD. I used to take Adderall, but I haven't in a while, so my heart is happy about it. My abilities have dropped a little bit, but that's okay. Caffeine can get you there. It just that's why I have an espresso maker on my desk that actually grinds and does all the work for me. A Seiko one is the best, my friend. Absolutely. We just have to look into the situation of where we're at and understand where is it going to take us next. And coming from that, we've heard a lot of things going on with Jason Sands, who's been someone who came out in a less than usual manner. Someone who has creativity and doesn't necessarily want to play along with the games of how you bring out information, how the big boys do. So, and that aspect, we have to say he's more of a renegade. He's more of a Han Solo, meaning he's someone who's jumping around from place, following his own thoughts on it. Let me bring up a tweet from Arthur Preston. Now, Arthur, I think Arthur, someone brought me up, I asked a question about Arthur recently, and they were saying, wasn't Arthur on before? And I think, Wes Decker, if you're out there, you're watching this, jump in the back, because I believe Arthur was one of the people who was around when you were around, and the guy was kind of smart and everything. So let me bring up this tweet here from Arthur Preston, just to go ahead and bring from everybody, talking about Jason Sands. Let's see where the conversation takes us. All right, here we go. Picture of Jason and David Grush there in that photo. Let me see if let's leave it there. Give me a second. Hold on over here. Bring it up in front of me. There we go. What's being said? All right. I have a theory that Jason Sands was one of the 40 witnesses Grush interviewed, and that all the talk about, quote, something big, end quote, happening the first half of 2024 is in reference to Jason going public. But the Twitter space was not planned, and Jason was a bit too open about some of the, quote unquote, more out there experiences for the inner circle's liking. So they decided to publicly snub him. With a reply coming back from Jason Sands himself saying, "You are correct." Bam. Hitting back, saying that, but, some things were said. Some things that, Rick, you had an hour and a half phone conversation with him on this. And you kind of found some talk that made things bigger than they really were. Kind of like the equivalent of Foghorn Leghorn from Looney Tunes talking about something and making something sound bigger than it really was, potentially. And some ties back to stories that you were involved with in the past that seem more of like a retelling of what brought us to this point. So Jason agrees with this, but I'm not sure if I do. Where do you take this?
No, I that's a theory, but I don't agree with it. No, Jason has. There are 3 different people out there that recorded telephone conversations with Jason, and those 3 people, unfortunately for Jason, they know each other, so they've compared the information that Jason gave them, and he'll tell one person one thing and another person a different thing. Like he told me things that I know. I mean, I just listened to him that wasn't factual, and where he entered the Nellis Test and Training Range, where he went, and then he claimed that the incident happened, and that OSI didn't debriefing. Well, OSI would have debriefed him. There's no other entity on Nellis Test and Training Range that were counterintelligence back then in the 90s. And then he relates the story that I've told on this program. Mike knows, last year sometime, and his story sounds almost exactly the same. So I didn't say anything to him. He claimed though that he claimed to other people that he talked about the legacy program to me. He never mentioned that.
Yeah.
He never mentioned a legacy program to me.
Right. Now,
I think
here's the thing. I guess they decided to publicly snub him. I guess would you call nobody else really going out there and standing behind him? Would you consider that snubbing somebody? I guess.
Well, my opinion, and this is only my opinion, is that he didn't have any credibility. They just didn't believe what he was saying.
Yeah.
He might have. He claimed he did not testify in front of DOD IG where I went, and the ICIG. He went straight through the Congress. And I don't know, Congress can't certify whistleblowers. He says he was certified through the Congress. Well, they can't do it. It has to be the agency that you're working for. And then these other three people are they're writing something up, and I'm not involved in that, but they have already posted a lot of things on Instagram and X regarding him, discrediting him, talking about one of the people who he claimed was with him, who said, no, I wasn't with him. I don't want to get involved in anything like that.
Right.
And hung up. So that's Jason.
It's a rough situation, to say the least, and we wish everybody the best of luck going through it. I know there's been a lot of stuff we've called them out as being, and actually some of the stuff that was actually brought out with regards to this came from Tim McMillan, who's one of the co-founders of the debrief, and specifically to contradict this, Tim McMillan said that Jason was not part of the original 40 people that was brought forward within the inner circle of David Grush. So it'd be interesting, who we're not hearing anything in the public about this is nothing from David, nothing from Lou, nothing from anybody, Christopher Mellon, any of the people who could potentially have some kind of a contact, anyone from Congress, the House, the Senate. Nobody. And if he met with any of those committees with regards to it, they would potentially, bring it there. And it's not that we wish anybody ill will. It's just, how do you put this? The conversation on Twitter was very broad from Jason.
Right.
And there were a lot of things that were said about a lot of different things that are kind of fuzzy out there with the overall community and everybody. It's not like anything's a definite, genuine thing. So based on the things that were said, the overall volume of what was said, positive versus negative, everybody who listened to it came away from more things that were dragging the conversation down versus pulling the conversation up. I mean, you reached out with David Altman and connected because you wanted to try and correct some of the stuff, but coming into it, it just didn't hit where it needed to go.
Well, one of the sad things about it, Jason, a master sergeant, retired, spent 22 years in the United States Air Force, and a unblemished record. I mean, he served his country with honor in a really tough career field, and then he comes out and starts making statements that can easily be to be false.
So rather than sticking to the script and the facts of what he went through, was basically saying that, what can I hold up to my phone here? Mickey Mouse. Listening in on a phone call. Oh my God, are they saying this? Are they saying that? I mean, we'll go ahead and write all this kind of stuff down and type it down. Oh my God. Holy shit, did they just say this? They just said that? Wow, that's amazing. If he would have just kept to the point of specifically the areas, it's called the nuts and bolts, right?
Right.
Of what he did, the stuff he observed. Forget about the fringe stuff that he clearly has a passion for. And if he's been having this stuff since he was a kid, this stuff could be following you along. Trust me, I know, in your whole life. But how do you put it? Sometimes the icing on the cake that you're putting on it is brown and it's not chocolate. You don't expect it to be, you think it's chocolate. To you, it tastes like chocolate, but to everybody else, it's not. So it's those additional pieces of frosting that are along the way that just, unfortunately, turn a lot of people off, including myself.
Yeah, and people like Danny Sheehan, who has a lot of contacts within the government.
Yeah, that's true. Danny called him out.
Yeah, Danny called him out, and the two OSI agents that have been out there later talked to people saying, "We were stationed there, and don't let him tell some wild story about something that never happened."
Yeah,
and so, you know, there's nothing to back up. And then this, I can't remember who it was that found one of his ex buddies or another member of that team that went out there saying, "I don't want to get involved in what Jason is saying. Don't call me again. I don't know anything about it. I was with Jason. None of that ever happened to me," and hung up on the guy. So, you know, that's another story that, but, you know, I feel, in a way, I feel sorry for Jason because, God, the guy he was a master sergeant. That's almost the highest enlisted rank in the Air Force, 2 down from the top. And he has a great career. And why would he do something like this? I mean, you know, I value everyone's service to their country. And, you know, he did. He said 22 years, that's a long time to spend in the Air Force. I mean, I was only in the active Air Force of 4 years. But, I mean, to spend 22 years and do what he did, I mean, that's credible. But then he goes out and makes these stories up. Yeah.
Sometimes maybe when you're in it, you see things more than they are, and nobody's life is perfect. Everybody's life has a lot of things going up and down, and we have to take in consideration when people are talking about stuff. This is what they're trying to go ahead and talk about, but they have this much stuff going on in their life going on. So sometimes you're going to hear things that are more than what it is. And I just wish him the best and everything, getting through anything that's going on right now, and to hopefully to see where all of this is going to go. Andrew, you have your hand up.
Yes, Rick, I had you would agree. Just everything about Jason Sandler just doesn't add up. And then recently you have this girl, Courtney Marshani, who appeared with Vinny on Disclosure team.
No. Courtney, let's be honest. She appeared on Disclosure team. She handles the UFO report that Tim Senor used to go ahead and handle on there. And we've gone from Courtney covering Jason Sands to Tim bringing out the video about what we're seeing going on in the skies over Vegas and stuff. So yeah, there's some things going on there, but I'm liking where Tim's going versus where Courtney's going. Go ahead.
Yeah, but Thomas is claiming that he went to the DOD IG, he went to the intelligence IG, he went to Congress. But yet again, he decides to publicly come out, even because he was apparently working closely with her. He decides to come out on a Twitter space and do a 5-hour rant. It just doesn't add up to me.
You know, really, but here's the thing. We're all human, right, Andrew?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So if you hear people out there talking about you, making comments about different things, and you know a lot of stuff, and you have the opportunity to go ahead, call in Disclosure tonight, go on a Twitter space, wherever it is, talk about the situation, you want to go ahead and open this up to a community conversation, that takes some balls. Seriously. It shows someone who has the information that they want to share because they can see that the community wants to know it.
I know, but there's different courses for different horses.
I got you, buddy.
This guy, no. If you let me finish, this guy was, 23 years? Rick, can you correct me here? How many years did he do?
22 years in the Air Force.
22 years. It just doesn't seem befitting of somebody who done 22 years to come out on a Twitter space to disclose
You know,
all of these things, which is actually a hark back to a 1984 incident, which he claims happened in 1994 or
Yeah.
5. You know,
Neil Carr, are you with us? Neil, I see you're there. You need to unmute, my friend.
Yeah, I'm here.
All
What's
right,
up?
you're here. Thank you for being here, my friend. Yes, I just want to pose this question to you. You know all this information. You see what's going on in the community. You're coming forward. You've got a video that's going out, paper plate coming out down the road and everything, but you have the information. You see all these Twitter spaces that are going on. Can you understand, as a human, as a person who has access to a bunch of information about the energy, the passion that can be generated, the something is a pick you up, is something to bring you along, to take the information that you know and throw it out there for the public? Andrew was saying, no, how could someone like that do it? But on the opposite side of the fence, what do you think?
I mean, I don't know what to think, honestly. I mean, it's weird. It seems weird that, yeah, somebody with a lengthy career like that would, if it wasn't true, that he would come out with that story. So I think maybe he thinks like he's convinced of it. Now, if it's, I mean, it's just that's all I can say is that maybe he's convinced of what he's experienced,
Yeah.
and if it doesn't jive with reality or the
Yeah.
truth, who's to say? Who's to say? And I'm still waiting. I'm still
Yeah.
waiting for more info.
But when anyone goes through any traumatic experience in their life, right?
Right.
They're going to see things in a certain way, potentially how it is to how it was and everything else.
Well, like my experience,
Yeah.
as a kid, I remember seeing, it couldn't have been a real owl because it was round and it was huge, but it looked like an owl, and I interpreted it as an owl and a glowing
Hey,
being.
but even people who are in Congress down in, have you heard about the ones down in Chile who said they got abducted back in 2012 and there was ties back to owls?
Yeah, owl. It's the owl thing. The owl thing pulled me right in. And who's to say what that
Just because
experience
they have
really-
eyes that are big and round like an owl and their nose isn't quite a beak doesn't mean they're an owl. There's similarities.
Right. And so I want to get regressed and try to see if I can get more of a better perspective of what actually happened that night when I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
Because nothing happened for sure. But you're right. Like we remember it the way we remember it. And for all my life, most of my life, except for the last 2 years, I didn't think anything of it. It was just a weird experience. But then now it's come to the surface. And now it's like, well, what's going on? So until I get more answers, it's anybody could say anything and argue with me about what it was. I mean, but I have the experience though. So it's,
Yeah.
who's to say?
It's
You know,
all
for me,
part of the timeline we're all part of, my friend.
right. But thanks for pulling me into the conversation. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. We all have to have different perspectives coming into it. I'm kind of someone who's in the middle, maybe off to the left, saying, yeah, there's some things that are there. Maybe there's other things that are there, but you just have, I guess it's going to come down to the compartmentalizing of the information that came in while someone was listening to the Mickey phone, writing down notes of what was happening, compared to some of the things that he had heard on that versus some of the things that he had been through on his own. And I could see personally with someone who could be going through a lot of stuff in their life that they could be bringing out a bunch of important stuff, but some of the other stuff could potentially be muddled.
Right. I trust Rick Doty.
Oh, so do I. Absolutely.
And I believe I'm I'm more liable to side with Rick on this issue,
Yeah.
just because he hasn't proven me wrong.
Thomas, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you
Try.
believe what Jason Sands is saying? You're kind of labeling on
There's
the
a
side
lot of
that you do
things.
believe in it.
There's a lot of things that were said that in the Twitter space that put a giant freaking question mark where the question mark punches through reality and everything sucks through it and goes poof because it can't exist. Yeah, there's a bunch of things that were said that kind of crossed over those lines. Now, putting that stuff aside, considering position he held, the things that he did, the conversations he listened to, could he have been witness to some dirty deeds from the federal government with regards to non-human intelligence? Yeah, without a doubt. Do the other things that were said get in the way of believing other stuff? How could I say no? So it makes everybody conflicted of where we're at. And while some important people like Tim McMillan and Rick and Tim and Danny of other people have come out and said, no, thank you. Just because someone said something once and there's something there that could potentially pull it off. Could there be other things that have been said that have weight to it? What do you think, Rick? I think there's a possibility that some of the stuff that he could be part of could have some weight to it. But there's just other stuff that have a negative gravity, a negative weight, you know what I mean, Rick? That just kind of pull the oxygen out of the air in the room.
Yeah, we not we, but others who have checked into his military record knows that he did have an SCI clearance, and he would have to have that in order to do what he did. Yeah. He was a intercept telephone. He intercepted telephone conversations and bases where they were talking highly classified stuff. So I agree with you. I think he heard something about an incident or something about some different program on the phone. And then he, in the 90s, and then he thought about it later and then exaggerated the story to the point that he's telling now. But I think he did. I think there's something. He has some really good information, and I believe he got that on the telephone.
There's a there, but we just have to bring out the archaeologists' freaking paintbrush to get rid of all the layers of all the shit around us so we can get to the artifact and understand. So it's not, I guess I always look for anything. Let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater, because there may be something there.
Right.
You know what I mean,
Rick,
Mike?
I think he interjected himself into the story. He talks about the alien and military fatigue, the blue alien. But he's kind of interjecting himself into the story.
Well, he's not interjecting, but no different than anybody else does on Twitter. And Rick's had Twitter Spaces, Mike's had Twitter Spaces. I haven't had any yet, but it's no different than having Disclosure tonight, and people can come in and talk about something. And that's about the conversation about he called in, he raised his hand and said, hey, I want to open this up. But then it opened up to a much larger conversation. I think you were there for part of the conversation, weren't you, Mike? Or Rick? Anybody?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
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 Me too. I was there.
Take it for
Yeah.
a minute, guys. I'll be right back.
Okay.
You know, and
Okay.
what I heard was uh was man, a lot of people just on the fence, really, with what to make of it, you know. And it's really too bad. Like you were saying, if he got this information off of like a telephone thing, and then some time went by, and maybe in his mind he kind of filled in some gaps to where he was personally involved. That could happen, maybe. Who knows? But
Yeah, I
I don't know.
agree. I agree with you, Neil. I agree that he he has the way he related and spoke with me. He explained to what he did, and I know exactly what he did because we worked with those guys, intelligence intercept operators. Those guys had to have a high level security clearance because they're listening in on telephone to all these things that are happening, and so
Would
they have to have a clearance.
would people talk about an investigation of non-intelligence for a fast retrieval over just a regular cell phone, or at least back then?
They're not supposed to. They're not supposed to talk classified, and that's what these guys do. They monitor the telephones to make sure. Back in those days, that they just had the telephones, and all those telephones were not secure. There was only one secure telephone system in the military. It's called a KY 3, 4, 5, and 6, and you could discuss because it was all encrypted. But on a regular telephone, a class A, B, or C telephone, you can't talk classified information. So these guys, that's what they did. And so it's easily, I mean, I was guilty back in the days of maybe saying things on the phone that I wasn't supposed to. So Jason probably heard something relating to NHI, and then he kind of went with it from there.
Interesting.
Well, Rick, I find the whole thing very, very harmful for for disclosure. I don't know. That's my opinion. I think it's really, really harmful for disclosure because all the debunkers and the skeptics sitting on the sidelines are just waiting to rip holes in Jason's hands. He's made statements. He's walked those statements back. He's made statements that are untrue. It sounds as if he's interjecting himself into other stories, whether you heard it on the phone because he was an intercept agent or not. I find the whole episode really, really, really damaging for disclosure, and that's just my opinion. And this is Disclosure Night, and I'm just going to disclose my opinion.
I hear you're coming from Andrew, and it's just understanding that, yeah, he didn't really hit the pulse.
He didn't do anything
of the general public.
Yeah, he didn't do anything in the right
It
way.
was really contained within the conversations that went on. So did it hit? Did it hurt disclosure? No. Did it give people a lot more things to go ahead and actually not really a lot more. Another thing to go ahead and talk about and debate about in the lull of actually action coming on? And I would say yes.
Yeah,
go ahead, Rick.
If he would have just stuck to what he did and what he learned, I think he could have, been very popular within, and I think he could actually be a whistleblower, because if he stuck to exactly what he heard and the information that came out regarding some NHI incident or material or something was occurring on within Groom Lake, I think then that would be very credible for him. And again, I think he did have some sort of experience, but I just don't know what it was.
I hear you completely, my friend. I hear you completely. Some of the times we hear something, it's information. Some of the times we're hearing things, it's misinformation. I do have an interesting piece out there. Rick, you've heard of, we've all heard of conspiracies and different things in the past that our government's been involved in. You've heard of the HARP array in up in Alaska before, haven't you? That's the high auroral aerial project, wherever it was. Anyway, it's something where it's a antenna array that puts a lot of stuff up and does stuff in our atmosphere. And there's been a lot of conspiracies going on about this. But Dr. Ben Davidson over at Suspicious Observers put out a video on this to go ahead and remind us that a lot of the information we're hearing is our typical government psyop that's used to push our technology, make it sound like it more than it is for our foreign adversaries than it does from the American people. Let me go ahead and bring up this video here, and let's go ahead and play this one. All right, here we go.
Good afternoon, folks. We've got a recurring bout of foolishness sweeping the internet, and it is once again all about HARP, the most overrated conspiracy on Earth. People are saying it caused the auroral display on May 11th, even though it was operating at a fraction of full power from the 8th to the 10th, and its effects disappeared within about 20 or 30 minutes. I have seen them blast that thing at full power, and literally nothing happens. It's operating regularly all the time, has been all year. When it's on, you can see it on radar, ionosondes, rheometers, the F2 critical frequency, the total electron content, and more. And it's never anything stronger than the natural variations that occur diurnally, day to night. Nothing special happens. A simple physics analysis of the power usage makes it clear that for ionospheric plasma, it can have some effects, but they are localized, they do not spread, and they disappear very quickly. When it comes to something like the aurora, no, not even close. The most I've seen is a fractional stalling of the high-pressure cell's eastward movement. That's at full power. When it comes to the aurora we had on May 11th, I already knew the answer, but I checked the data anyway. All minuscule effects from May 8th to May 10th were gone before the CME struck. It was tiny, and the amount of power that came into the system from the sun during that event was more than what humanity uses in a whole month. Please do not fall for any of this nonsense about HARP being involved in the auroral display. Furthermore, and I want you to really listen here and think. HARP started out pretty secretive, sure, but then in the span of about 90 days, after many failed experiments, we got several books released by different authors, 2 TV shows talking about it, actor, politician Jesse Ventura, no trust issues with those professions, handing you an enemy on a silver platter and telling you to scream about it on the internet. We also had the so-called whistleblowers giving talks about HARP all over the country, allegedly risking their lives, and yet nothing happened to any of them. For those who are not familiar with this topic, this is called a limited hangout. It's a form of PSYOP, a psychological operation.
Have you heard of that before, Rick? A limited hangout PSYOP?
Yes, I have. Yes, definitely.
Absolutely.
It was done because the HARP system itself was largely a failure to do anything significant. So, they used it as a scapegoat to distract you, turn your head the other way, and to scare you and seem all-powerful. Please do not fall for this. It's level 101 red pill stuff here. There are 2 kinds of people promoting fear on this: government agents and those who fell for the enemy they were handed on a silver platter by the government. This is not...
And this is the thing. This is what our government does. This is what our CIA does. This is what the core of the different areas. It's a part of spreading this to use against our enemies. But unfortunately, it happens and is tied to a lot of people within our own country.
That different from the climate stuff, COVID, the attack on freedom, or the promotion of satanic elements everywhere in the world these days. We are under attack as a people, and this is part of it. I'll see you in the morning. Be safe, everyone.
All right, Suspicious Observers, we like to carry or cover Dr. Ben Davidson's issues on this. And you know what? This is true. If you heard different things going on about HARP again recently over the last couple days, this is just reminding everybody, of what's going on out there and the psyops that are at play. Andrew, go ahead.
I was just interested in what he says. He says about a limited hang-up, and our good friend Rick confirmed that they're, a psyop. And I hate to go back to it, but I have to go back to Jason Sands. Is he a disinformation agent? Is he on a limited hangout? Is it a psyop?
Or is he another victim like a lot of us out here?
Well, we don't know.
We don't know.
That's the
He
thing
doesn't
about-
seem like someone who's being malicious. He doesn't come along in that. And to that extent, he may have, as we've said many times, had some interesting phone calls listening in on what's going on that kind of may have led from one thing to the next, but you never know.
But to that extent, those who are the gatekeepers who are trying to keep this secret are just sitting back and laughing.
You never know
whether it is this up or not.
Yeah.
It's having the same effect.
Yeah,
would you agree, Thomas?
The jury's out on that one from me. Neil Carr, go ahead.
The gatekeepers are fully laughing because if the truth is right under our nose, they hide it in plain sight, and we don't see it because it's so obvious. I think is kind of the flavor of what we're chewing on.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
That's the taste of the cud we're chewing on, my friend. Absolutely. I do have one more document to bring up really quick. This comes from the conversation we're having earlier tonight about KARL NELL being part of the SALT conference coming up. Just going ahead and getting into KARL's, if you want to call it, biography, who are they calling out for why he's a speaker at the SALT conference, saying benefit from over 30 years of organizational and technology leadership in top-tier Fortune 500 firms, including Bell Labs, Lockheed Martin, TASC, CACI, and Nesco. KARL NELL is a seasoned executive, respective thought leader, dedicated change agent, and accomplished multidisciplinary engineer, comfortable across business models from aerospace high-end development to integrated solutions to advisory services. Getting to the bottom of it, where it gets to the bottom, it says, culminating his military career as Army Director, supporting the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Task Force, also known as the UAPTF. His engagements with senior leaders within the Defense Department as well as Congress directly contributed to the creation and inclusion of the UAP legislation within the National Defense Authorization Acts of 2022 and 2023. I didn't know he was involved. I knew he was involved in 2023. I did not know he was involved in 2022. Did you know that, Mike? Or Rick? Anybody?
No, I actually didn't,
No.
Thomas, to be honest with you. How about you, Rick?
No, I didn't either. I did not know that.
I know he was involved in 2023, but it's cool that he's been around for a couple of years, and it's no wonder he was pegged to go ahead and take over the position as the head of RO. It's just a shame if he's going to get there to have someone who was a staunch supporter of disclosure.
Yeah.
That may be the problem that's keeping him out, right, Mike?
Yeah, that's true, Thomas, but I also want you to know that Ozark Craft just sent us a super chat.
Oh, wow.
Very nice.
Lou seems a little more active these days. Progress, well, Lou was in Washington, D.C. for a number of days. He then jumped down to New York, Looks like he was going to come and hang out for dinner with Dr. Keith Taylor, and then the next day following, going to HarperCollins, the publishing partner for his book. It seems like there's some interesting things at foot. Would you not agree, Mike?
Yeah, it seems like he's on some sort of a tour. I don't know how it pertains to disclosure because if you remember, Thomas, we are part of Lou's email group, and he sent out the newsletter that is telling everybody that we shouldn't be focusing as much on disclosure at the moment. We should be focusing on more real-world events and taking care of each other, and that's what he's going to be doing for the moment. So I think it's good advice, and we certainly, you and I, have been following that advice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think there's anything mysterious going on behind the scenes. I think that Lou is doing exactly what he said he's going to be doing. And right now, his book is getting ready to come out later this year, and he's doing all of the preliminary work to have that occur. So it's business as usual. Good for him.
Absolutely. Talking about business as usual, my friend. I want to go ahead and thank everybody for your wonderful super chats here on Disclosure tonight. I want to thank everybody for your wonderful donations to go ahead and help this show to continue and be what it can be, because every dollar that comes into our show goes back into our production fund. More importantly, I want to thank Ozark Craft, Ann Joanne, Fat Franco, Rachel Osborne, Firefly, Frat Fank, again. And starting off tonight's Super Chats, Mr. Faiswell. More importantly, I want to thank the people who have been in the chat tonight in this conversation. We've been having a great time, because it's not just about the people who are in the back. Sometimes it's about the people who are in the chat. And who am I talking about? Let me go ahead and bring up the list. Where is it? Checking it once, checking it twice. Let's see who the heck we have out there. We have Black Cat CPI, Brian Pemble, David Steele, Delta Echo, Eli McGinnis, Frank, Fink Floyd, Firefly, J-Cat, Kathy Kelly Burrow, King Bull, Mick Mac, Ms. Cussout. Good to see Ms. Cussout. It's been a while. They were just talking about you today. And you're here.
Yes, I'm here. I made it. I've been visiting with my daughter. So thought I would stop in and see how you guys are doing.
It's wonderful having you here, my dear lady. Thank you for coming in tonight.
Thanks for having me.
You better believe it. Also in the chat, Daryl Zernick, Mr. Live Long and Prosper. Just throw out another super chat. Also, who else we have there? We've got in the chat, we've got Nathan Forrest, Neil Carr, Neil Morgan, Ozark Craft. Love the Ozarks, my friend. Resonate, Rick Doty, Shelley Montgomery, Spider Grandmother. Yes, giant 10-foot spiders are coming for you. Terrence Wills, Yellow Tommy Tanker, also known as Andy. But more importantly, it's not just the people in the chat. Sometimes it's the people in the back, and I want to go ahead and thank Andrew Donnelly. Thank you for coming out and all the conversation tonight, my friend.
Yes, Thomas, thank you very much. It's really good to make it in for a change. A big part of the discussion tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in, my friend. Also want to thank Michael. No. Yep. Neil Carr. Thanks for coming in tonight, Neil.
My pleasure. Now that my fingers are all clean, I had barbecue sauce all over my hands when you called on me.
Not a problem. It was wonderful bringing you in point and counterpoint. I want to try and do that more in the future going forward, my friend. It gets me out of there, lets me act as a moderator between the people. But thank you for partaking, my friend.
Of course, anytime, man.
You better believe it. Also want to thank, let's see. Nope. Anyway, I also want to go ahead and reach out. Now, I'm just looking for people who have been in the back tonight, part of the conversation. I tried to limit to that. More importantly, I want to go ahead and thank Mr. Rick Doty. Thanks for coming out tonight, Rick. It was wonderful having you.
Did we just freeze up?
No, we're good. You still there, Rick?
He's frozen.
All right. Mike, you still there?
Yes, sir. I never left. And Brian Temple just joined us.
Thank you for coming out tonight, Mike. It's a great show, my friend.
Oh my God, it was a lot of fun for a Monday night, and Rick came in. It was great. We had videos, we had new information, and wow, everyone's jumping in the back now. Look at this.
What
Yeah,
a
it
great
was
conversation. Hey, you know what? At least we got to double back on the Jason Sands situation.
Oh,
have
like,
a more
hello.
humanistic approach to it. You know what I mean, my friend?
I just arrived here.
I know we're
Oh.
done. You know what I mean, Mike?
I know exactly what you mean, but we had a lot of different things to talk about tonight. The audience
Yeah.
loved it and enjoyed it. It was great. It was fun.
Yeah. It's amazing how the back takes off when we're done with the show. And as we usually say, Mike, at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight. But wait a minute. Rick, thanks for coming out tonight, Rick.
Thank you, Rick. Good seeing you again, my friend. You always bring a lot to the table. And it's greatly appreciated by us
Oh,
and
God,
the audience.
so much so. Rick, are you still? I think he's there. Maybe not.
He may be going to the library right now.
Oh,
you never know.
you know.
Oh, there he is.
I'm back.
Checking
Actually,
the
I
books
know.
in the library. I will say that a lot of times. Hey, Mike, take care of things while I check the books in the library.
That's right.
I'm back.
Thank you for coming out tonight, Rick. It was wonderful having you here.
I had a problem with my computer. Guy sent me an email, and I opened it, and it had an attachment about Bruce Maccabee's death. And I opened it, and it was a Trojan. Well, fortunately, I blocked it, but I had to clear it, so it took me a little while.
Eventually, we'll get you Mac, my friend.
You know what? My wife uses it, and I don't. I don't know. I guess eventually I will have.
Look, hey, I'm there to help you whenever you're ready, my friend. You know, I got Vista'd 3 times, and after I got Vista'd the 3rd time, and I was like, fuck it. I moved all my data across, and I've had PCs, but they generally run the television sets in my house. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming out to this episode of Disclosure tonight. And as we usually say at the end of every one of our episodes, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everyone. But oh, that's not loud enough.
Louder.
Oh, and wait a minute.
Perfect.
Why is that so quiet? It's not even registering. Eyes open, no fear, be safe, everyone. But
Go back to Party City where you belong.
there we go. We'll catch you on the flip side. Good night, everybody. Love you. Y'all come back now. Here, see you soon. Bye-bye.